You hear a lot of people say like, "Oh, wrestling is fake," and they say it like almost dismissively. And I think it is very dismissive because they don't realize how much work goes into wrestling. Like wrestling it's performance sport. Wrestling is also theater. It's also an action movie. Like wrestling in a lot of ways, a good wrestling show is a variety show.
Wrestling. Many people laud it as fake and scripted, but millions of people across the world watch their favourites battle each other in an athletic showcase. Whether it's the sports entertainment of WWE, the modern style of AEW, the strong style of Japan, or the death matches of GCW, there's something for everyone. That's why Oscar Brown decided to get in touch with Ultimate Pro Wrestling, his local wrestling promotion, to show why he loves wrestling and particularly UPW.
Any line of work that you choose, any career that you decide to take on, like what led you to it? You know, even a bricklayer, you enjoyed creating stuff and you're good with your hands, right? So you become a bricklayer.
Maybe.
You know, and mechanics, they like cars, so they become mechanics. We liked wrestling, so we became wrestlers.
Hometown in Portsmouth, we've actually got a training school.
Yeah.
So we were I just went on to that one day essentially and did the first session. Remembered after the first maybe 10 minutes, I was throwing up. I was like, this isn't for me. But I paid my money, so I'm going to be here for the rest of the session. And then absolutely loved it. And yeah, been back ever since.
Even though I'm now 5-6 years into it, there's still a lot more than what I thought there would be, for sure.
When I first started, I was an announcer. I was an announcer for about 10 years. And then I just decided, you know, when I was a kid, when I saw him before, my dream was always to be a wrestler. I went to Canada and I trained as a wrestler.
You do start wrestling, which I'm very privileged to say that I do. I mean, you just naturally get more of a respect for it because you understand how much it hurts, you understand how hard it is, you understand the technical, the skill, you know, all these things that come together.
Do you want, so it's up to you. Do you want to do that side? Don't do the scripts. They're going to have the scripts probably on them. Try and get your framing right. Yeah. If you go that side, I'll get the steps set there at the back one, so you can climb up to the promos in ring. Rich is going to be backstage with me doing B-roll. We might do some of the backstage skits backstage while the show's on.
So the training school that I trained at, they put on a training show. So a lot of the people that were backstage with me, I've trained with. So it didn't feel too uncomfortable because everyone that I knew was there. Seeing them bringing their suitcases and start getting changed and the atmosphere in the room, it was very surreal because I had never seen a backstage thing at all. And again, even like being behind the curtain, it was a really, really surreal moment to go from like a 4 or 5 year old's dream to actually being able to do it.
I very quickly learned how to carry myself. I think, like, I've always been quite a reserved, shy guy, sort of like totally different to what I am in the ring. You know, like backstage, I am just chilled, reserved, but like I was a lot worse than that before I started it. So it was nice to learn how to carry myself, how to know that these are my peers. They're not necessarily people I look up to. They're people that I'm there with.
Yeah. I was then at that show, and I wasn't there in a production capacity, or whichever word we want to use, and I was there to wrestle. It was kind of crazy, and I would say it probably took me a good while to kind of adapt to that. Like, even calling myself a pro wrestler felt kind of silly. I don't know why. It was just one of those things. So it was intimidating. It was awesome. It was cool. You know, I wanted to make sure I went out my way to be respectful to everybody because I think, you know, that's massively crucial too. But yeah, it definitely was. I mean, I don't think I've ever, it was a weird thing. Before I went out there, I don't think I've ever been so nervous in my entire life. And then I went out there, got a very nice reaction, and it was probably the best moment of my life.
Be yourself, be chilled out. Like, don't put on airs and graces. Don't try and be what you are in the ring. Like, just like, and I really learnt that day.
Because I think you are naturally, with any form of performance, if you're in that kind of, you're about to go on stage, you're going to have the butterflies, you're going to have the adrenaline, you're going to have the nerves, you're going to have the excitement, and it is like a big ball of energy.
UPW fans, welcome to the Wing-Up Pavilion!
Backstage, you just sort of, especially at the beginning, you just keep your mouth closed. Spoken to. Just make sure you greet everybody, hellos and goodbyes, yeah, just be on good behaviour really, and just sort of listen out because you're learning all the time. And like for me, I had 3 months training and now I'm back on shows, so I've got to learn a lot, and I'm still learning all the time as well.
And once I'm out there, then you'll explain what.
Yeah, we're going to go over there. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
You don't have to worry about it. But I just want to get you in position.
Told, and you're like, you almost, obviously at a certain point when you start, you try and be respectful and professional, and I suppose you're always like that anyway, but you're always told to sort of almost act as if you're on that level, to sort of get the mindset of like, you know, I am like obviously not early doors, but once you've been doing it a few years, you're always told, you know, you've got to try and think like you're on the same level as these guys, like that you're, you know, you can be as good or like, you know, as them.
My wrestling character is an extension of my real personality. When I first came to the UK, I was working for Big League Wrestling. I was the straight man. I was the lead play-by-play. So like, not as much. Like that guy's straight. Like he tells it like it is, and he just wants people to have a good time. Harlan Hayes, who I am now, he's certain mischievous aspects of my real-life personality with the volume turned way, way up.
I do get to play a character in wrestling, right? Moneymaker Miller, and in a lot of other promotions, I'm just me, which also makes perfect sense because, of course, I did the YouTube stuff, and you want to present an authentic product. But yes, I think even though I'm running around, basically what I am doing is I'm playing an exaggerated version of a YouTuber. And I am a YouTuber, so I've just taken strains of my own personality and I've taken things that I see other big YouTubers doing, and I've tried to dial it up as much as possible for a wrestling ring.
Everyone always critiques themselves, but like I think like you get to a stage where you can sort of just like accept who you are and stuff like that. But when you come in here, like that sort of is just amplified even more. And I generally think people that try and be something they're not, it shows massively. Whereas if you just do what comes natural, you can obviously add little bits here and there, but I think if you do what comes natural, it resonates just like so much better.
I like the behind the scenes stuff because like a lot of times the real life stuff is just as interesting as what you see on a wrestling show. It's like the thing about how truth is stranger than fiction.
Now, like I'm 5 years into it now, it's still weird like being backstage, getting ready, hearing the show go on.
And those feelings that you get when you first start, the anxiety, the fear, they have a danger of controlling you and have a danger to influence what happens. The longer you get in the tooth, the more practice you get at it, you get to control those and use those to influence how your match goes. And
this documentary has shown us that every wrestler has a unique, different viewpoint on the industry. How they view it changes their style and their philosophy. Through these lenses, they know exactly how to control the audience from the palm of their hand. This is the beauty of wrestling.